Welcome back to the Strategic Command. Today we explore an alarming development. Sources suggest that Iran is preparing a direct attack on Israel with possible timing ahead of the US elections. This move could reshape the political and military landscape of the Middle East and beyond. Join us as we delve into the historical context, recent provocations and potential repercussions of a preemptive Iranian strike, examining the multifaceted strategies at play. The backdrop of escalating hostilities. To understand the gravity of this situation, let's first trace back to early October 2024. On October 1st, Iran launched an unprecedented assault, firing around 200 ballistic missiles into Israeli territory. This large-scale offensive triggered widespread alarm, forcing civilians into shelters as the projectile struck multiple sites, including residential areas and several military bases. While casualties were limited, the attack signaled Iran's offensive capabilities and tested the resilience of Israel's defensive systems, marking a historic high in Iranian-Israeli hostilities. Israel's response, known as Operation Days of Regret, was swift and unyielding. This meticulously planned counteroffensive involved over 100 Israeli fighter jets targeting Iranian strategic assets. In a matter of hours, Israeli forces struck vital missile production facilities, drone launch sites and air defense systems throughout Iran. The message was unmistakable. Israel would not tolerate unchecked aggression, and any threat to its national security would be met with decisive force. Key targets: disrupting Iran's military infrastructure. Israel's primary aim in its retaliatory operation was to erode Iran's missile and drone capabilities, which pose an immediate threat to its borders. By striking strategic targets in Tehran, Karaj, Isfahan, and Shiraz, Israeli forces sought to destabilize Iran's military production and infrastructure. Among the critical facilities destroyed were ballistic missile factories and advanced air defense systems, significantly impairing Iran's ability to mount future offensives. Despite the severity of these strikes, Iranian officials quickly downplayed their impact, asserting that missile production and defense capabilities remained fully functional. However, satellite images revealed a different story. Visible damage to key installations including the Shahid Space Center, a site integral to Iran's missile production under the Revolutionary Guard. These images indicated extensive damage to central structures, hinting at a deeper vulnerability within Iran's defense framework, especially as air defense repairs remain pending. Iran's aggressive rhetoric and psychological tactics. In response to Israel's strike, Iran's leadership adopted an aggressive stance, with Revolutionary Guard Commander Hossein Salami pledging an unpredictable and bitter retaliation. Salami's statements painted Israel's actions as a critical misstep, a provocation that Iran would not ignore. His rhetoric conveyed both intimidation and a rallying cry to the Iranian public, who increasingly call for a forceful response to the attacks on their homeland. Iran's rhetoric in this context serves a dual purpose. Domestically, it reassures a population seeking retribution, bolstering public morale. Internationally, it signals to Israel, and its allies, that any further escalations will be met with severe consequences. This psychological posturing aims to deter additional Israeli strikes while laying the groundwork for a potential counteroffensive. U.S. involvement and the election factor. The U.S. holds a critical position in this intensifying standoff, especially as the 2024 presidential election looms. From the outset, Washington has publicly supported Israel, while urging Iran to avoid actions that could further destabilize the region. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre reiterated U.S. commitment to Israel's security, emphasizing that any Iranian retaliation would prompt full American backing for Israel. To underscore this support, the U.S. has taken tangible steps, deploying advanced missile defense systems in Israel. This move not only strengthens Israel's defensive posture but also signals to Iran that any escalation will meet a swift and powerful response. For President Biden, however, the timing is precarious. A major escalation could impact U.S. domestic politics, potentially influencing voter sentiment ahead of the elections. Balancing unwavering support for Israel with a desire to avoid new conflicts, Biden faces a delicate strategic calculus that could shape U.S. Middle East relations for years to come. The strategic timing of a potential Iranian retaliation. Iran's awareness of the upcoming U.S. election adds a unique layer to its strategic decision-making. Some analysts speculate that Tehran may attempt a calculated retaliation prior to November 5, aiming to test U.S. resolve and possibly impact the political landscape. A well-timed strike could force Washington into a diplomatic crisis, complicating President Biden's re-election campaign or, at the very least, distracting U.S. policymakers during a critical period. This strategy reflects Iran's broader geopolitical chess game, where measured aggression serves to reinforce its regional influence while avoiding full-scale war. Tehran's leaders, including Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, appear hesitant to initiate a direct confrontation that could spiral into a prolonged conflict with Israel and the US. Yet, the desire to maintain a strong, unyielding image before the Iranian public and the international community pressures Iran to consider some form of response. Khamenei's dilemma: containment or confrontation. Ultimately, the decision to retaliate rests with Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. While Iranian hardliners call for an aggressive response, Khamenei's cautious approach suggests a reluctance to provoke all-out war. This restraint could reflect a strategy of containment, aimed at avoiding a conflict that would further destabilize Iran and strain its resources. However, in recent statements, Khamenei has criticized Israel's actions as a miscalculation, indicating that a limited retaliation may be forthcoming. This approach allows Iran to demonstrate strength without triggering a broader conflict. Meanwhile, Iranian leaders, including Guard Commander Salami, are weighing alternative retaliation strategies, such as cyber attacks, proxy operations in Lebanon and Syria, and covert actions. Each option carries unique implications for regional stability, potentially sparking an unpredictable cycle of reprisals. Israel's warning: an escalation will meet overwhelming force. Israel, for its part, has made it abundantly clear that any Iranian retaliation will be met with overwhelming force. Israeli Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi has warned that further Iranian aggression will trigger a more devastating response, potentially targeting previously spared assets within Iran's defense and military production infrastructure. This threat serves as a powerful deterrent, signaling that Israel is prepared to escalate if necessary. By communicating its willingness to strike at the heart of Iran's military capabilities, Israel sets the terms of engagement, making it clear that Iran's response will dictate the level of Israeli retaliation. The implication is clear. If Iran chooses confrontation, the ensuing conflict will reshape the balance of power across the Middle East, potentially drawing in external powers and igniting a prolonged military crisis. Iran's calculated alternatives: proxy warfare and cyber tactics. In the event of a retaliatory move, Iran may seek to avoid a direct clash by leveraging its network of regional proxies. Groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza retain substantial capabilities to conduct indirect attacks against Israel. Through these intermediaries, Iran could maintain its stance as a regional power while avoiding the risks of a full-scale military engagement. Proxy warfare allows Iran to test Israel's defenses, stretch its military resources, and maintain pressure without openly escalating the conflict. Additionally, Iran may explore cyber warfare as a response, targeting Israeli infrastructure in ways that are difficult to attribute and therefore, less likely to trigger immediate retaliation. Cyber tactics could offer Iran a low-cost, high-impact means of disrupting Israeli systems, aligning with Tehran's broader strategy of asymmetrical warfare. The pivotal days ahead. As tensions reach new heights, the coming days will be crucial in determining whether this confrontation between Iran and Israel escalates into open conflict or stabilizes under intense international pressure. Iran's decision to strike before the US elections, combined with unwavering American support for Israel, places the region on a knife edge, with the potential for either containment or cataclysmic escalation. A direct Iranian attack could unleash a chain reaction, prompting a forceful Israeli response and potentially drawing in US forces stationed in the region. Alternatively, an indirect approach via proxies or cyber attacks could sustain high tensions without tipping into outright war. The stakes could not be higher. Any misstep has the potential to ignite a regional crisis with profound global implications. Conclusion. The unfolding situation between Iran and Israel reflects a precarious balance, where military posturing, strategic timing, and political calculations intersect. With the US election fast approaching, Iran's actions could redefine the dynamics of power in the Middle East and beyond. If you found this analysis insightful, like and subscribe to the Strategic Command for continuous updates on this high-stakes situation. Share your perspectives in the comments below. Do you think Iran will risk retaliation or will it bide its time to avoid direct conflict? Stay tuned as we continue to monitor these unfolding developments.